Zelda, the time has come!
The time has come for Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Now, this game is one I've kind of been avoiding a bit. Hi, Jaina. I'm here with Jaina, I forgot to introduce her. But, basically, this whole month, I've realized there's a lot of games where I've been holding off on the sequels just because I'm not a fan of them, and I'm taking the time in this month just to power through them. This game is probably the best of them, which I'll get into. Anyway, after Ganon was destroyed, Impa told Link a sleeping spell was cast on Princess Zelda. She will awake only with the power of number 3 Triforce sealed in a palace in Hyrule. To break the seal, crystals must be placed in statues in 6 well-guarded palaces. Link set out on his most adventurous quest yet, and his hardest ever. Zelda 2 isn't necessarily a bad game per se. All that it is it's a very challenging game with some poor decisions made for it, but I'll get into that as we go. Zelda 2 is kind of unique, as it's actually a sequel to the original game, which doesn't happen a lot in the series, and they're doing that again with Breath of the Wild, which is interesting. Anyway, let's get started. So immediately, we are here in the Zelda's sleeping space, where we need to wake her. In order to do that, we have these 6 crystals you can see down there, which we need to return to the 6 palaces. That is our main goal of the game. Because once we get all those crystals in the right place, then the last palace with the 3rd Triforce will open up where we can get it and wake Zelda with that. This is actually the first game to have 3 pieces of the Triforce. See, previously, there's only 2. You might notice, wow, this is very different. It looks almost like Castlevania. You can control your jump a bit better than Castlevania, but your attack is completely pathetic. It does shoot a small sword beam that barely affects most of the enemies and doesn't even go the whole screen. So yeah, you're kind of weak in this game. That's all you really have. Also, as soon as you leave, we're in a top-down perspective now, like the original Zelda, but instead of being able to attack and use items in the top-down perspective, all we can do is move, at least for now. Also, the enemies are these random encounters that appear, like so. If we stay on the road, they're nothing, but if we encounter them out in the forest or whatever terrain that isn't the road, then there'll be an enemy encounter where we have to face enemies in the 2D side-scroller aspect. Another big change is that since Hyrule doesn't have Ganon bothering it anymore, they're now prosperous towns. Here we have the town of... what is this one town called? Oh, I skipped it. Rauru, the first town of the game, and there's not much here other than NPCs to talk to who aren't too useful, but what is important is each town has a single magical spell you can get, which is what this empty menu is for. It's just for us to fill up on magic. It also has ladies that to replenish our health and magic. Because yes, we do have a magic meter in this game, which we can either refill here in town, or we can get items from, sometimes, enemies to drop them. This lady here invites us to her house. Generally, you can tell who is going to give you the spell based on who leaves their house. Each town has a wise man. Learn from him. So basically, whenever someone leaves their house, that means that they have a magic person in there that you need to go in and talk to. Sometimes they require you to do something else first, but for the first spell, we can just come on in. In Parappa Desert, use this magic to survive. And with that, he gave us the shield spell, which just ups our defense a little bit, and the little number next to it tells us how much magic it uses. And the differences don't even end with magic or a completely different gameplay style. There's also the matter of experience. Your attack, your magic, and your life all are very weak at the beginning, but you can increase them by killing enemies and getting experience points. Now, if an enemy drops a magic bottle, then you won't get any experience points. That's to make up for it. And generally, the weaker enemies give lesser experience, as you would expect. I don't mind this aspect. It's just the game can get very grindy at points, which we'll get into. One thing that'll catch our attention immediately is this singular bush over here, which actually leads us to a secret entrance, which I may have actually not gotten into it because of that enemy encounter we had there. Yep, I'm in the wrong place. Hold on, let's move on. There we are. Now we're inside of it, where there's these keys coming towards us. The gameplay of the game itself isn't poorly designed at all. It's not very fun, at least compared to the original Zelda, in my opinion, but it's not necessarily poorly designed. You can do all sorts of attacks. You know, there's still the returning blade beam, even though it's not good in this game at all. The orange old lady is the one who restores your magic, and the lady in the red dress is the one who restores your health. But that's not important right now. Right now I'm looking to see if the next magic spell is in this town at all. I am Error. Well, thank you. Very helpful. Goraya of Tantari stole our trophy.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
So that's an example of before we can get the magic spell of this town, we have to do a prerequisite. You have to get her trophy back. And that town eventually leads to a cave that we don't want to go to just yet. Is this actually the cave she's talking about, the one up here? It might be. This encounter here is just flame projectiles, nothing too bad. But if this is the town, or this is the cave with her trophy... Oh, we can't see anything. Right, okay. You're in this cave, this is where we're supposed to go, even though we can't see yet because we don't have the candle, but we're required to go through here to get to the candle, and there is an enemy who, if you didn't know about, you might get hit by unfairly. This game, you know, it's okay. The one thing I will say is this game has great music. I mean, you know, the overall theme I don't think is as iconic or good as the original Zeldas, but I like the encounter theme that plays here, and the palace theme is one of the best themes in all the Zelda series. Ganon actually isn't alive in this game, which is very different compared to most other Zelda games, especially at this point when there was no Demise or Zant or anybody. But basically in this game, Ganon is still dead because we killed him in the last game, and in order for him to come back to life, he needs to get our blood. So that's why all these enemies are actually working for Ganon, and if they kill us, they get our blood, and Ganon comes back. You know, if Link's survival was the only thing stopping Ganon from coming back from the dead, I'm pretty sure some other Hyrule guards should be doing this massive quest or something. Shouldn't Link just be, like, kept in a safe somewhere? Maybe he could stay with Zelda and protect her or something?